The first presidential head-to-head of the 2020 election went, a little badly, to say the least.
You're the liar.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
Mr. President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that.
So, vice presidential debate moderator Susan Page was determined not to take any chances on October 7th. After Fox's Chris Wallace came under fire from Twitter pundits and politicos around the world during the presidential debate, Page seemed dead set on not succumbing to the same fate. And while there hasn't been a whole lot of enthusiasm for VP debates in recent elections, this one was different, and the whole world was doubtless watching. During the presidential head-to-head, Chris Wallace had come off as kind of like a friendly, if baffled, uncle. Susan Page, meanwhile, had the grit and discipline of a drill sergeant. Of course, Page is no stranger to dealing with slippery politicians. As USA Today's Washington bureau chief, she's a bona fide heavyweight when it comes to keeping interviews and debates on track. But if there's anything that the last few years have taught us, it's that sometimes the biggest messages aren't passed through words. Sometimes wearing the right or wrong thing can make all the difference. And while Susan Page's wardrobe choice for the debate was perfectly demure, there was one accessory in particular that the Twitterverse latched onto. The item in question? Her neon green snap-on bracelet. Of course, the world was bound to see it. The room was dark after all, and Page was decked out in dark colors. Unencumbered by other distractions, this neon green fashion statement was hard to miss. And Page, who has had a front row seat to 10 presidential campaigns, would have been well aware of this. What message, then, was the vice presidential debate moderator trying to send with her puzzling accessory? That was the question of the night. Twitter users had two main theories when it came to Susan Page's snap-on bracelet. The first, perhaps Page needed a cocktail or two before working up the nerve to moderate, or maybe she was hedging her bets on needing something stiff afterward. One observer wrote, "Based on her green bracelet, clearly Susan Page is still hungover from last night's pub crawl and she is not having Pence's." Another asked, does Susan Page have a drink bracelet? Yet another user mused that Page's bracelet could have been a secret ticket to a much-needed post-debate underground rave. Hey, it's 2020. Stranger things have happened. But there's a second theory floating around the Twitterverse that hopes to explain Page's peculiar fashion choice, and this one hits a little closer to the truth. Basically, the second theory debate watchers had centered around one particular question. Was Susan Page afraid of COVID? As one viewer quipped, Susan Page got a bracelet for a free shot of bleach after the debate. Another asked, is Susan Page preemptively wearing a green hospital ID bracelet because she's resigned to catching the Rona from Pence? Of course, Pence drew particular attention over the course of the evening, not for his oratory ability or, well, anything else of substance, but for his shiny red left eye. And yes, in case you're wondering, COVID-19 can cause pink eye, so naturally, Twitter users immediately sounded the alarm bells. Worse still, by all accounts, Vice President Mike Pence has been in close contact with many in the Trump administration who have since come down with COVID-19. At one event, for example, he sat directly in front of Senator Mike Lee. Days later, Lee tested positive for the virus. In other words, moderator Page would have had good reason to worry. So what's the real explanation behind Page's snazzy wristband? Well, sadly, it's nothing quite as fun as an underground rave or as hilariously paranoid as a preemptive hospital bracelet. The far less exciting truth is that every member of the media who attended the VP debate had to take a COVID-19 test. Afterwards, they were given wristbands, according to The Hollywood Reporter, as a green light to say that they could head into the debate. But hey, who knows? Maybe they got you into the afterparty too. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.